Beauty influencer Jordan James Parke, best known for his appearance on Botched, has died. He was 34 years old. Though no details about his death have been confirmed, reports suggest Jordan underwent a cosmetic procedure before he died.
At just 34 years old, the story of Botched star Jordan James Parke is both shocking and deeply heartbreaking. Known for his dramatic cosmetic transformations and bold personality, Jordan chased a dream of perfection that came at a painful cost. But behind the headlines and television appearances lies a human story of struggle, vulnerability, and consequences. His journey, once filled with glamour and attention, slowly turned into a cautionary tale about beauty, pressure, and self-image. What truly happened to Jordan? Join us as we uncover the heartbreaking tragedy of Jordan Parke. The influence of cosmetic surgery culture. Jordan James Parke's story is a striking example of how the culture of cosmetic surgery can shape a person's life in ways that are both dramatic and dangerous. From a young age, Jordan was deeply aware of society's obsession with appearances. He grew up noticing the praise people received for looking a certain way, the subtle advantages of having symmetrical features, flawless skin, and an ideal body shape. As he got older, social media intensified these pressures, flooding him with images of people who seemed perfect, their faces smooth and their bodies sculpted, often digitally enhanced or filtered to remove any trace of flaw. Jordan wanted to belong to that world, to achieve a version of himself that reflected those impossible standards, and he believed cosmetic surgery could help him reach it. At first, Jordan's interest in cosmetic procedures started in small, almost unnoticeable ways. He began with minor enhancements, tiny tweaks he hoped would increase his confidence and make him feel more aligned with the beauty ideals he saw every day. But over time, what began as small adjustments grew into a relentless pursuit of transformation. It became clear that he was no longer just trying to feel better about himself. He wanted to completely reshape his identity to meet the expectations he felt from society. The more he explored the world of cosmetic surgery, the more he became aware of a culture that celebrated dramatic transformations as a kind of personal achievement. Jordan wanted that attention, that approval, and he pursued it without fully considering the long-term consequences. His story gained widespread attention when he appeared on the television show Botched, which features people whose cosmetic surgeries have gone wrong or resulted in serious complications. Jordan's case was extreme, the result of multiple procedures performed over a relatively short period of time, each one pushing his body and face further from their natural limits. On the show, he spoke candidly about the physical pain, the emotional struggles, and the ongoing complications he experienced with each surgery. His appearance on Botched was not just a personal story. It was a cautionary tale for viewers, highlighting the risks of chasing perfection in a world that prizes appearance above all else. Once unique, now looked distorted, unnatural, and difficult to animate with normal expressions. Simple movements became challenges, and the surgeries that were supposed to enhance his beauty created new limitations. Doctors on Botched explained that every alteration, every enhancement, carried hidden dangers. Jordan's story vividly illustrated how cosmetic surgery, when taken to extremes, can compromise health, mobility, and emotional well-being. Admitted that social media played a major role in shaping his decision to undergo extreme cosmetic procedures. He admitted that social media played a major role in shaping his decisions. The constant barrage of images, likes, and comments created a system of validation that linked beauty to self-worth. In this culture, the more someone aligns with an idealized appearance, the more approval they receive. And this feedback loop can push people to take increasingly dangerous steps to maintain that approval. Jordan's story is a reflection of a society that often equates physical perfection with personal value, ignoring the mental, emotional, and physical tolls such choices can exact. Even after undergoing numerous surgeries, Jordan's journey did not end. Recovery became an ongoing challenge, requiring both physical healing and emotional processing. He had to confront the fact that the pursuit of perfection could never fully satisfy him, that there was no end point at which he would feel complete or accepted. On Botched, doctors emphasized that realistic expectations, patience, and respect for the body's limits are essential for anyone considering cosmetic procedures. But could it bring about emotional risk? Let's find out. Emotional and psychological struggles behind the headlines. Jordan James Parke's journey was often painted in bright lights and bold headlines, a life that seemed glamorous, effortless, and filled with admiration. From the outside, fans and critics alike watched as he achieved milestones, performed on stages, and built a presence that many envied. But behind the smiles, the performances, and the constant flash of cameras, Jordan James Parke faced struggles that were invisible to most, battles that were deeply personal and profoundly human. His life, like that of many public figures, was not only about talent and success, but also about coping with the emotional and psychological pressures that come from being constantly watched and judged. From a young age, Jordan James Parke had to navigate his sense of self in a world that constantly measured him against impossible standards. The mirror, the camera, and the internet became more than tools of recognition. They became mirrors of expectation, reflecting a version of himself that he was supposed to be rather than the person he truly felt he was inside. Every performance, every public appearance, and every social media post was met with a flood of opinions, some kind and supportive, many harsh and critical. Over time, the weight of these opinions began to shape his own self-image, making him question whether his worth was defined by applause, likes, or the number of people watching him succeed. The constant comparison to others, the fear of being less than, and the anxiety over public perception created a silent battle that he carried every day. Confidence, which for many comes from achievement or experience, was a fragile thing for Jordan James Parke. Success brought recognition, but also scrutiny, and with scrutiny came doubt. In moments of triumph, he would feel elation and pride, but almost immediately, a shadow of worry would follow. The duality of living in public, where praise and criticism could arrive simultaneously, made confidence a complex and fluctuating state. It was not something he could take for granted. It was something he had to cultivate constantly, like a garden that needed careful tending amid storms of judgment and expectation. Public criticism, both subtle and overt, played a role in shaping his internal world in ways that were often misunderstood by outsiders. Negative comments on social media, harsh reviews, and even casual remarks in interviews could feel like personal attacks, each one echoing longer than intended. Jordan James Parke, like many public figures, had to learn to filter the noise, to distinguish between constructive criticism and destructive commentary. But this was not always easy. The constant exposure to the opinions of millions meant that even a single negative voice could grow disproportionately loud in his mind. The pressure to perform, to maintain a positive image, and to meet the expectations of both fans and critics created a cycle of stress that was difficult to escape. A loop that played quietly behind every headline and every public success. The struggles with self-image, confidence, and public criticism were interconnected, each amplifying the other. Jordan James Parke's journey was not simply a path of outward achievements, but also an internal journey of resilience, introspection, and adaptation. It was a slow, ongoing process, filled with setbacks and small victories, one that required honesty, patience, and the courage to face not only the world, but also his own inner fears. But could he have possibly gone through some health-threatening issues? Let's find out. Jordan Parke's life-altering health challenges. Jordan James Parke's life was shaped in ways that many people might never fully understand, because he faced a series of medical challenges that left both visible and invisible marks on his body and spirit. From an early age, he had to endure repeated medical procedures, each one a small battle that left his body weary and his mind alert to the risks of the next treatment. These procedures were not simple checkups or minor fixes. They were often invasive, complex, and exhausting. Every time he entered a hospital, it was not just a physical test, but an emotional ordeal, a reminder that his health was fragile and unpredictable. The physical toll of repeated procedures was enormous. Each surgery or intervention carried its own risks: infections, long recovery periods, scarring, and chronic pain. His body often had to rebuild itself from scratch, sometimes taking weeks or even months to recover strength. Simple movements that many people take for granted became hard or even painful, and he had to learn to pace himself carefully to avoid worsening his condition. The cumulative effect of all these medical interventions meant that even as he grew older, his body often felt worn out, tired beyond what someone his age might experience. His energy levels were affected, and he had to carefully manage what he could do each day, balancing normal life activities with the realities of his health. But the impact was not only physical, it also shaped the direction of his life. Opportunities that might have been available to him without these setbacks were often delayed or entirely lost. Activities that required robust health, such as sports, long journeys, or physically demanding work, were sometimes out of reach. In school and in social life, he had to navigate absences due to hospital visits, recoveries, and flare-ups of pain or fatigue. These interruptions could be isolating, as friends or peers continued their routines while he spent days or weeks recuperating. Over time, this created a sense of frustration and sometimes even anxiety about the unpredictability of his health. Mental resilience became a key part of Jordan James Parke's life, forged through the repeated cycles of hope and challenge that each medical procedure brought. Every setback demanded patience and determination to recover, and over time, he developed coping mechanisms to handle the uncertainty of his health. Yet these mental strategies did not erase the exhaustion or the limitations imposed by his body. The constant adjustments required to live with the consequences of repeated procedures often forced him to plan meticulously, to calculate what he could do without triggering pain, and to prepare for unexpected medical emergencies. This constant negotiation with his health shaped not only his daily routine, but also his long-term aspirations, influencing the career paths, hobbies, and even relationships that he pursued. Life-altering consequences also extended into the social and emotional realm. Repeated medical procedures often meant extended hospital stays, time away from friends and family, and moments of vulnerability that could be difficult to share. The sense of being different or dependent at times could affect his confidence, yet it also gave him a deeper understanding of empathy and the struggles of others facing health challenges. It shaped his worldview, highlighting the fragility of the human body, the importance of support networks, and the resilience required to navigate life when health is not guaranteed. Despite all the physical hardships and medical setbacks, Jordan James Parke's experiences also gave him unique strengths. However, his life trajectory was altered by his health in ways that were both difficult and defining, turning ordinary days into careful calculations and creating a deeper appreciation for moments of wellness and freedom from medical concerns. But what are mysteries behind his sudden demise? Let's find out. Jordan James Parke's death. Jordan James Parke, a British influencer who spent more than $150,000 on plastic surgery to resemble Kim Kardashian, passed away at the age of 34, possibly following a cosmetic procedure, according to several news reports. The Metropolitan Police in London said they were called to the Lincoln Plaza near the Canary Wharf area on February 18th after receiving reports of an unconscious man. Police and paramedics arrived at the scene where the 34-year-old man was sadly pronounced dead. Authorities described his death as unexplained and said an investigation is ongoing to determine exactly what happened. However, police are looking into information that suggests Parke may have been undergoing a cosmetic procedure shortly before he died. On February 20th, 2026, police arrested a 43-year-old man and a 52-year-old woman in connection with the death. Both are suspected of manslaughter, but have since been released on bail while investigations continue. Officials have not yet confirmed the exact cause of death. Authorities said they are waiting for the results of a post-mortem examination, which will provide more clarity on the circumstances surrounding Parke's passing. This case has drawn attention because of Parke's high-profile cosmetic transformations, his large social media following, and the questions it raises about the risks of plastic surgery. Investigators are working to establish all the details, including the exact nature of any procedures he may have been undergoing at the time of his death. The Metropolitan Police confirmed that inquiries are ongoing and emphasized that the death is being treated seriously while the investigation continues. Jordan James Parke's death serves as a reminder of the potential dangers involved in cosmetic procedures, particularly when they are carried out outside a strictly controlled medical setting. Authorities are carefully examining the circumstances to determine whether any criminal negligence or other factors contributed to this tragic outcome. For now, family, friends, and followers are left mourning his sudden death, while authorities continue their investigation. The post-mortem results, once available, are expected to provide crucial information about the cause of death and whether the arrests made are linked directly to the procedure Parke may have been undergoing. This tragic incident highlights the growing trend of extreme cosmetic surgery among social media influencers and the risks associated with pursuing dramatic physical transformations. Authorities are urging caution and stressing the importance of professional medical oversight for any cosmetic procedures. The investigation remains active, and police have promised to update the public as soon as more information is confirmed, including the results of the post-mortem and any further legal developments involving the two individuals arrested in connection with Parke's death. Jordan James Parke, aged 34, is remembered not only for his social media presence and attempts to emulate celebrity looks, but also as a figure whose death raises serious questions about safety in cosmetic procedures and the pressures of public image. Though the case continues to unfold, authorities are carefully piecing together what happened on February 18th at Lincoln Plaza, as the world watches and waits for answers. But how did Jordan James Parke come into fame? Let's take a closer look. Early fame and public attention. Jordan James Parke first stepped into the public eye as an ordinary young man from the United Kingdom with an extraordinary desire to change his appearance. He was born in 1991, a native of Dudley, England, and grew up in a regular family environment. As a child and teenager, he was fascinated by glamour, celebrity culture, and especially the polished, high-fashion look of reality television stars. Over time, that fascination became a strong personal goal. He did not simply admire fame from a distance, he wanted to be part of that world. His rise to attention began in the early 2010s, when cosmetic surgery and social media were becoming more common and widely discussed. Platforms like Instagram were growing rapidly around 2012 and 2013, giving people new ways to present themselves and gain followers. Jordan used these platforms to share his changing appearance. He openly talked about undergoing cosmetic procedures, including lip fillers, Botox, and other treatments designed to reshape his face. What made him stand out was not just the procedures themselves, but the dramatic and highly visible nature of his transformation. Public interest in his story increased around 2014 and 2015, when he revealed that he had spent thousands of pounds on cosmetic enhancements. Reports claimed he had spent over £100,000 by that time, a figure that shocked many people. The large amount of money, combined with his bold and glamorous look, attracted media outlets. Newspapers, online blogs, and television programs began to feature him. He was often described as someone who had transformed himself to look like a living doll or a high-profile celebrity figure. A major turning point in his early fame came when he appeared on the British television show Botched in 2015. Although the show is American, it featured patients from different countries who sought corrective cosmetic procedures. Jordan traveled to the United States to consult with surgeons about improving or correcting previous work. His appearance on the show introduced him to an international audience. Viewers saw not only his physical transformation, but also his personality, confident, expressive, and determined to maintain his chosen image. Television exposure made his name circulate even more widely. Interviews followed. Tabloids discussed his lifestyle, his spending habits, and his reasons for altering his face so dramatically. Some people praised his confidence and honesty about cosmetic surgery. Others criticized him, arguing that his changes were extreme. This mix of admiration and criticism only increased public attention. Controversy often fuels fame, and in Jordan's case, strong public reactions kept him in headlines. Social media continued to play a powerful role in his rise. By 2016 and 2017, Instagram had become one of the most influential platforms for personal branding. Jordan posted selfies, behind-the-scenes images, and updates about new procedures. Each post sparked comments and debates. Supporters left encouraging messages, while critics questioned his choices. The constant online conversation kept his name visible. In the modern media world, visibility often equals relevance. His transformation was not only physical, but also symbolic of a wider cultural trend. During the mid-2010, cosmetic surgery was becoming less secretive and more openly discussed. Influencers and celebrities talked about fillers and procedures without shame. Jordan positioned himself at the center of this cultural shift. He was open about what he had done and how much he had spent. That openness, even when controversial, made him a frequent guest for interviews and online features. Another reason for his early fame was the emotional story behind his transformation. He often spoke about wanting to feel more confident and more aligned with how he saw himself. Audiences are often drawn to personal stories of change, especially when they involve strong determination. Whether people agreed with his decisions or not, many were curious about his journey. Curiosity keeps audiences watching, reading, and clicking. By late 2010, Jordan James Parke had become widely known not just for his appearance, but for what he represented. A bold example of extreme self-reinvention in the age of social media. So, what do you think about the shocking tragedy of Jordan James Parke? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.